So hello and welcome everyone to this wonderful product deep dive today for SquirroGPT and your website. My name is Lauren Hawker-Zaffar, and on behalf of Squirro, I'd like to welcome you to this product deep dive. Over the next 30 minutes, Dorian Seltz, our Squirro CEO, and myself will showcase SquirroGPT Web and its capabilities. So our session today will start with an overview of what generative AI is and how generative capabilities can enhance your website by extending personalization, information retrieval, and customer support offerings. Now, this exploration, it will be followed by a demonstration of our own SquirroGPT web offering. To end the product deep dive today, we will open a question and answer session, and all questions which are not answered will be addressed by email after the session. So I'd suggest that we get started and we welcome our main speaker, Dorian Seltz. Welcome, Dorian.
Thank you for having me, Lauren. I'm happy to introduce quickly what we are, what we do at Squirro. Squirro is a augmented intelligence software provider. We are present on an international scale between Singapore, Europe, that is London, Munich, and Zurich, as well as America, with a subsidiary in New York. What we do, we provide an intelligence software insight solution that Gartner deems to be visionary. Now, why do we go for generative AI for websites? We think it is indeed one of those big bang moments, a moment where everything is changing. In my case, it indeed reminds me a bit of the early 90s when Google was coming up and where everybody asked at the time, what is the impact of Google on everything and anything? And I think it's a bit the same with generative AI. How will that new era of machine learning affect all of us? And yes, indeed, we do have a view on that. AI-induced change, and we have had a number of webinars on this topic already. I invite you to go and watch the recordings. They're all available on our website and at our blog. We have discussed that widely already today. If you look at any company and you see here a Porter value chain diagram, AI will have an impact in wherever you see one of these bubbles popping up. From supply chain to back office automation, to support automation, to deal sourcing, to better customer communication and profiling. Yes, and indeed, better customer interaction. And that's what we want to explore today. How, as an example, you can indeed do better customer interaction, literally set up in minutes. And for that, I would want to do a small demo. So today I want to chatify my own blog. My blog, dcells.ch, is my blog where I do write about all types large language models at the moment, and also, as you see here, the myth of easy solution. I do sincerely think a database, a bit of LangChain and LLM, but I'll write over the years about all types of other stuff in that domain and many other areas of what I'm interested in. So what about if I want to chatify that website? That's actually done in 3 easy steps. Step 1, I go to start.squirro.com. On start.squirro.com, you need to log in and register. But once you've done that, the only thing you need to do is you go and select SquirroGPT. We immediately provision you your own instance. It has pre-selected mine that I'm using currently. I go with that selection. I need to obviously confirm a few things like our Squirro Master Services Agreement. And once I've done that, I essentially get to start the initialization of the setup of that application on my own instance. It's a single tenant, so it's my data and nobody else going to see that. Given we're here in a webinar, I will make that short and sweet and actually go immediately to the instance where this has already been set up. So once you have installed that, you're going to get an instance like this one, SquirroGPT, and now you can start to connect data. We have here a number of Primo connectors. We're not going to go into detail of those today, such as a Google Drive, such as a OneDrive, but we also have, as an example, the ability to upload any type of data. But what we're interested in today is actually the website crawler. That goes as easy as you have here one view where I simply going to add now my website, dcells.ch, and I'm going to load data. That's all I do. Once I've done that, I come to my by now loaded web crawled data from my own website. And I have now a fully functioning chat with my own website set up. You might have noticed I was, as an example, discussing what my view is on LLM, and here we can continue with that. What is my view on LLMs? And I essentially by now start to chat with my own data and only my own data. It even says it so based on the context that I do provide. As it goes, I also do evidence-based this. Everything that we do gets immediately evidence-based. That is, as an example, it takes you here back to the actual source of where this has been discussed. Now, I want, as a matter of fact, integrate that into my website. So the thing to do is I have here embed chat. And that goes as easy as I take this here to the clipboard, and I go now to my actual website. And in my website, I go to the admin dashboard. And in the admin dashboard, I go to the appearance section. It's a WordPress, a web-based blog, where I go to the themes editor. And I effectively go to the theme header. Where in the header section, I simply include now this piece of embed code. And that's all I ever do. Once I've done that, I go back to my website. I reload the website. I have now this little orange button here that calls SquirroGPT. Here I am, and now I can start to talk with my website. What is the future of newspaper is a blog post I wrote about 10 years ago. And it starts immediately to expand on that as we go. And as we have seen it in the past, it actually starts to evidence-base the whole thing. In the case here, as an example, takes me back to my very own blog post I wrote about 12 years ago. So what you've seen in those 3 steps, step 1, get an instance, step 2, crawl your website, step 3, embed that code, is all you ever need to do to get going with your own website to chat to. Over to you, Lauren.
Thank you, Dorian, for the comprehensive introduction and for demonstrating how easy and accessible the implementation of SquirroGPT Web onto your blog or your data actually is. So I think that I will happily follow your lead and demonstrate a similar integration using the data from our publicly accessible technical documentation site. Now, the documentation site that I will display is docs.squirrel, and the site itself hosts a collection of technically specific how-tos, installation guides, and product overviews. Now, in demonstrating the application of SquirroGPT Web on this site, I would similarly forefront the ease of use, as well as the personalized conversational customer experience that is offered with the integration of SquirroGPT as a chat interface onto this website. Now, as you'll see, I can ask the site questions, get answers to those questions, and, as Dorian highlighted, be provided with contextual sources that indicate where the answer has come from, as well as further information around the topic that encourages further self-exploration. So let me just demonstrate that by opening it. So now, given that this is an educational knowledge transfer resource, I can use the digital assistant that we can see on the bottom right-hand corner to converse with the documentation and directly ask the questions that can personally. So for example, I can answer it, I can ask it, can I integrate Squirrel into Salesforce? So you can see that the digital assistant has provided me with an accurate answer and provides me with all of the necessary steps that I would require to actually integrate Squirrel into Salesforce. We can see as well the evidence for this. When we click on it, we can look at the query result and then follow further documentation that is listed on docs.squirrel. Now, if we go back, and we can also increase the chat interface, the digital assistant, to a larger framework, we can ask it another question. So something that might be popular at the moment is the curiosity around machine learning. So I've asked our technical documentation site if Squirrel has a machine learning course. Now we can see that it does provide me with accurate information about the course that is offered on the Squirrel Academy. So we can see that the Squirrel Academy does offer a machine learning course, which is called No Code AI Model Creator Certification. Now, if you're interested in finding out more about the course, then you could certainly click on the sources provided and have a look at the course specifics. Something that might be of use when accessing technical documentation, again from a personalized angle, is possibly what happened in Squirrel's last release. Now we can see here that instead of manually going to the documentation site and spending a lot longer in trying to identify the accurate documentation, the digital assistant has provided us with adequate information around what has happened. And again, we can click on the sources to discover a lot more in detail. So within 5 minutes, I've personally crafted my own customer journey and received the information that I intended to seek in approximately a fifth of the time. The integration, as we can see, has provided real-time customer support. It's answered questions and guided me as a user through our technical documentation, which is transferable to any website of your choice. Now, this can obviously improve user experience and reduce the workload of, for example, any customer support team. In addition, the models in place can also analyze user behavior, preferences to personalize content and recommendation. This enhances user engagement and does increase the likelihood of conversion because visitors see content that is really tailored to their interests. So what I'll do is I'll pass you back to Dorian and he can provide us with a little bit more information around the packaging that is on offer from SquirroGPT Web and further products.
Thank you, Lauren. Thank you for that great demonstration. I actually use it quite often. The other day I had one of those moments where on the other side somebody was nearly fainting for one of those large research organizations such as Gartner, Forrester, IDC, and so on. Without naming now the particular one, we had to effectively, obviously, kind of like fill out a questionnaire, about 200 questions about our product offering, about our releases, about how we go to market, and all the rest of it. And yes, indeed, I actually used what you just demonstrated. The only thing I had to do is to prefix the number of characters allowed for the answer, 1500 it was, and the answer, I must say, was spot on. It is not a copy-paste exercise thereafter. It's always good to review any such answer, but what normally was a half a day's worth of work was literally reduced to maybe an hour. And on that, I want to continue talking about what product offering we have now. So what we focus today on the leftmost box, SquirroGPT Web. That is an entry-level product that literally allows you within 5 to maybe 15 minutes to chatify any website, like the one you saw me doing, my own very own blog. We then continue and offer you saw that as well in the short demo, SquirroGPT company data. That is an ability to have your own company data, as an example, a SharePoint with, as an example, service documentation, or a Confluence, as an example, with product documentation made available to anyone within the company. Safe and secure. We then go to SquirroGPT Enterprise Search. That is something we're going to cover in one of the forthcoming webinars, including the Squirro Insight solution. It's essentially an enterprise search solution that is GPT enabled. For today, though, we want to focus on the SquirroGPT chat with your website offering. What you can do with this, instantaneously chat to your website after a short setup. It's great for any type of website, be it a blog like I've just shown it to you, but even more valuable, obviously, if you provide this for customer engagement. That is, as an example, if you provide this, like we've just shown you, like Lauren just shown you, on a documentation website, on a product documentation website, on a service portal, where people can come and ask questions in a way more natural way than any way before. That is, you do not anymore have those rule-based chatbots that fail at every other question, but you have effectively a solution that does answer any such question with an evidence-based approach. That is, it links it back to the original source. This increases trust in the solution. This increases effectively also the usefulness of the solution for your end users. With that, let's come to a quick wrap up. What we have shown you in the last couple of minutes is a way to massively drive up productivity of your current service desk people, that instead of answering the same tedious question time and time again, have now around the clock ability to provide the same level of quality answer by allowing your end users to effectively chat with your service documentation, chat with your product documentation, literally out of the box. This type of efficiency and efficacy improvements is what this new type of technology brings to anyone. Now, how to start? Today, we have been talking about chat with web data. And for there, you need those 3 steps. Get an instance, go to start.squirro.com, get a setup of a SquirroGPT instance, a run-in, including crawling a website. Lauren just showed you where to get the whole documentation for it. And then at the end, take that bit of embed script and embed it into your website. That's all it takes. And should you kind of like have questions along the way, you get support. Go.squirro.com/support is the place to go, and my team and I are happily responding to all of your questions. With that, we come to an end today. We hope that in that short webinar, we have been able to show to you how a tamed stochastic parrot, which a large language model is at the bottom of it, combined with a solution like ours to form SquirroGPT, is actually a significant opportunity to improve efficiency across your interactions, your customer interactions, as of today. With that, we come now to a short Q&A session, and also want to point out that there is additional elements that we're going to be sending your way, such as the recording of this webinar, but also additional materials how to get started.
Excellent, and I think it's surely been of great value to see what benefits SquirroGPT Web can bring, and it seems to, as you have mentioned, Dorian, already spurred on some curiosity. So let's address this by opening the floor to some of the audience's questions. So if you look at the questions, there seems to be a couple of topics. The one that I'd like to forefront first would be, how is my data secured if I want to deploy SquirroGPT on, for instance, my intranet?
Great question. Data security is all matters today in the world that has seen an increase in all types of things happening on the web. In our case, Squirro is as such as an organization ISO 27001 certified. It's the highest level of security certification you can get here in Europe, equivalent to, for listeners in the US, the SOC 2 compliance requirements that you have. We do offer SquirroGPT on Hetzner, which is a German hoster. We also offer it on Amazon Web Services, or we also offer it on Microsoft Azure. Those three are large-scale hosters and online web service providers that themselves are absolutely committing to the highest level of security. So together, that makes it for a fully secure solution that you can use at any moment without being fearful of any data leakage or so.
Perfect. Yeah. I mean, I think in the respect of addressing a similar topic around data security and data privacy, we've had a question that addresses if someone is able to, I mean, is it possible that an anonymous user of the digital assistant has access to a different set of information than maybe a registered user? What would the login options look like from the perspective of accessing the information from the digital assistant?
Again, great question. What we have shown today is anonymous use. So you effectively get issued a session. The session is, we do that like everyone else. You get a cookie set on your notebook or on your desktop, and that cookie is valid for a single session with a specific number of questions only. Then you would automatically get logged out of that session. We do this again out of our responsibility to be sure that this whole exercise is secure. We do this automatic logout after a certain moment to avoid this type of denial of service attacks. That's for anonymous use. So any user can come, you get a cookie, a session cookie, you can interact with the website, and should that not be sufficient in the session we give you, you reissue the session. But with that, this made sure that it's done safely and securely. If you come and effectively log in, that is, if you use that, say, as a logged-in user in an intranet type setup, that's probably what you probe for. There are essentially two ways to do that. You simply, within the solution, give a other user access. That can be done by inviting them by email, or that can be that you open, as an example, that specific company domain, in our case, squirro.com. So everyone.com email address that is being verified gets automatic access to the solution. One option, or in a larger enterprise, even a better solution, is to connect to your, as an example, Microsoft Active Directory service or similar such login services to have a true single sign-on experience, which on the other side as well allows a site administrator to control who has access and who has not.
Exactly, and that's probably the fundamental core element that people are concerned about, and it's definitely a great option to be able to have these security regulations around who can see what content when accessing it through the digital assistant or in an enterprise setting. Now, I'm afraid that we're slowly running out of time today, so we won't have any more time to answer questions within the panel openly. As I did mention at the start of the session, any questions that have not been addressed by both today will certainly be addressed per email. So I'd like to, ladies and gentlemen, as we near the end of our product deep dive, I'd like to take a moment to reflect on the knowledge that we've gained throughout this session. As we did at the start, we explored the transformative potential of generative AI, and we witnessed how this cutting edge technology is revolutionizing the way data can be interacted with. As, for example, we exemplified how it can be interacted with your website, but we'd also like to highlight that it's also applicable not only on website, but also in combination and standalone with additional data sources. So I would certainly encourage each and every one of you to explore this for yourself, because exploration is the key here. And if you'd like to learn more, then please go, as Dorian highlighted, to start.squirro.com and access the technical documentation to support your own discovery on docs.squirro.com. Thank you again for joining us today, and I wish you all continued success in your endeavours. Thank you, Dorian.
Thank you, Lauren. Goodbye, all. Have a good day.